Hello, welcome to the next part of mode. So before I look at the scale shapes, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the concept behind modes. So what we did in the previous videos, we took the G major scale, we harmonized it, and we formed chords up and down the necks. Now what I kind of view it as is it's the same scale note. So when we're going to look at G major, we're going to play it in 5 different scale positions, but the important thing to understand, it's the same notes. But what happens is the point of reference changes. So, and I call it the home chord. So if we change the home chord, then what happens is the same notes start sounding very different. So if we went up and down the neck and we established in the key of G major, there's 7 potential different chords. But if we change the home chord from G to its second chord, A minor, and then we form a scale shape using the same notes out of G major around it, then what happens is the relationships between the notes change and they start sounding very different, and you start getting each mode's signature kind of sound. Now there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can go, okay, I'm in the key of, say we were playing the A minor chord, we formed a mode around that. You could say, well, the parent key is G major, and if I play that over it, I'm going to get a different sound, which would be the Dorian sound. But I don't tend to think like that. I tend to go, this is my home chord. I'm going to make a scale shape around it that expresses the mode that I want, and then I can link it to all the other scale shapes, and if I want to backtrack and work out what is the overall key, underlying key, I can do that. But I you know, for me, my brain just doesn't think about parent keys, or not very quickly anyway. You know, I know enough to shift the map around, but for me, the best way to start these things is to find the chords that you want, figure out what mode you're deciding to play over it, and then you'll work out all your scale shapes up and down the neck around from there. And if you need to backtrack and go, well, that's the parent key is G major, then you do it. So it's not quite treating them as a separate thing, but it's looking at them from a different perspective. But that is basically the concept of modes. It is the same notes, but you've got 7 different notes, but you can take a different starting point. So if you start from G and end on G, you get G major. If you start from A and end on A, you get A Dorian, and so forth as we go through the modes. And it is basically, it's the home chord that changes, and that is why the same notes start sounding very different once you change the home chord. Okay, so in the next videos I'm going to crack on and actually start looking at each scale shape and then try and break it down systematically. And what tends to happen is people go, oh my god, these scale shapes look a bit weird, but I don't think that's the case. I think once you break it down into simple elements, then they become less weird, and you've got an understandable point of reference, and then they become something that's pretty doable. So see you in the next video.